Welcome to another 15 Minutes of Torah. Today we're going to be going over another proof that the Torah was written by God, by showing you evidence that there's information in the Torah that could not have been known by mankind 3,300 years ago. Today we're going to be focusing on the renewal of the moon. The renewal of the moon is very, very important in Jewish law because we have to determine exactly when the new month arrives, and our months are based on the new moon. So every new moon is the beginning of a month. So the thing we have to determine exactly when the new moon arrives, so we know when the first day of the month arrives. This is important because all of our holidays are based on the renewal of the moon of any particular month. So in the Torah, it doesn't tell us the exact way to determine the new moon or what God considered the new moon. This was information that was transferred orally, and God gave the rabbis the ability to decree when the new moon is actually sighted and when they rule that the month starts, from which day it'll start. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the oral Torah, which is the actual description on how all the laws are observed and all the oral information that Moshe got from God on Mount Sinai. Not only the written. Like I said, the written Torah has our commandments in it, but it has no information on how to observe those commandments. All of that information, including what we're going to be going over now, is in the oral Torah. So this is not only going to prove that the written Torah is divinely given, but it's also going to prove that the information in the oral Torah is divinely given. So let's get started. So we have to begin with inside the oral Torah in Masechtas Rosh Hashanah, page 25a. We have a story here about when witnesses came into the Sanhedrin, which is the Jewish main court, like the Supreme Court, say, and they were coming in to tell the judges that they witnessed the new moon. The judges would have to question those witnesses, and if they found the witness to be verifiable, then they would determine the new moon on their testimony. And if they thought there was a problem, then they would wait for witnesses that came in that could be relied upon. So this is a story about when witnesses came into the Sanhedrin and tried to say that they seen a new moon. And as we see here, it says, once the sky was covered with clouds, and the form of the moon was visible on the 29th of the month. So what it's saying, it was a cloudy day. The judges were in the court, and it was a cloudy day, and two witnesses came in and said that they seen the new moon. So it says the people thought they are thought to say that the day was a new moon, and the court sought to sanctify it. In other words, so the witnesses came in and they said, we've seen a new moon, and the court wanted to sanctify the new moon. However, you see here, Rabban Gamliel, which was the head judge at the time, said to them, this is a tradition that I received from the house of my father's father, which this is an expression that in Jewish writings means this is a tradition that got passed down all the way from Moshe at Mount Sinai to him. So from rabbi to student, rabbi to student, rabbi to student, all the way down to him. This is just a way that they say that in the Jewish writings. And then he gives the actual calculation. He says the monthly cycle of the renewal of the moon takes no less than 29 days and a half a day, and 2/3 of an hour, plus 73 parts of an hour. So this is our figure that we got to go through and find out, does this actually work out to what we know today as the actual cycle of the moon? Okay, so now let's go over the math. We have 29 days and a half. Then it says, and 2/3 of an hour, and 73 parts of an hour. And there's 1,080 parts in the Jewish hour. So all we have to do is this math now. So we have 29 and a half days plus 2/3 of an hour, and then there's 24 hours in a day. So we just do this 720 divided by 1080 divided by 24. And then we have to add another 73 parts, so we do the same thing. 73 divided by 1080 divided by 24. So I've done the math for you. You can do it yourself. So the 2/3 of an hour comes to 0.027777. And then the 73 parts comes to 0.002816. Now if you add all this together, it comes to a total time of the actual cycle of the moon as 29.530593. That's what it comes to. So now let's see what science has to say about this today. Is this actually the cycle of the moon? First, let's go to the Farmer's Almanac. Someone asked this question: is how long is the lunar month? And they say it's a variant, but basically they say that the average is 29.53059. So as you see in the Farmer's Almanac, it says that it actually comes up with the exact same number that the sages said. They said it 2,000 years ago, but they said that they got it from Moses 3,300 years ago. So Wikipedia also mentions that the actual cycle of the moon is 29.53059 days. So again, we see that science now has determined it's the exact same thing that the sages told us it was 3,300 years ago. So you see here, it's very easy to determine that obviously the oral Torah, along with the written Torah, were both divinely given books, and all the information in them is given by God, because there is absolutely no way in the world that 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago or even 1,000 years ago anybody would have known the exact cycle of the moon up to 5 decimal points or 5 digits past the decimal point. That's just impossible. They worked off sundials back then. They didn't even have a clock. So to have a stopwatch that would have that precise timing is completely unheard of back then. So we can see here that all the information that we use today for the Jewish religion from the oral Torah and the written Torah was absolutely divinely given. I hope you enjoyed this film, and I hope to see you back next time.